Welcome to the Women's Soccer Show. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Allie.
And boy, do we have a lot this week. You thought last week was big. Think again. We have NWSL, WSL, and we're going to talk Champions League because the draw is in. The madness is already here. And of course, Ballon d'Or results. They're coming in right now as we're recording. We're going to get live updates, live reactions. We always love when it's not planned, Allie, because the truth really does come out. That's all Allie has to say right now.
That's all I have to say, because I realized that when I saw the first list of results, I had a really bad thought. And I was like, yeah, no, we keep that to ourselves.
Oh, I can't wait. Don't worry, everybody listening. I will get that out of Allie, whatever it is. I'm going to get you in trouble.
When do you not?
Before we kick on to everything and talk football of it all, a few things. First and foremost, something very exciting. We have a really fun, great announcement that if you've been following the podcast and supporting us, really we owe all of this to you. We've been able to make massive strides here, and we've got a big announcement that if you're a Spotify listener, we will be now available via video starting next week, everybody. Now, if you don't like video, do not stress. There's a little button that says switch to audio. You can listen to it as normal as if nothing has changed. With that comes a couple of advertisements. Now, don't fret, everybody. First of all, it will just take the place of that old Total Football Analysis ad that you used to hear all the time. So it's going to be exactly the same content that you are used to, with a little extra money to our wonderful editor and now producer, Michael. And I've just designated him as the producer. That was not a formal, but officially, as of this moment, he is the producer. So we just wanted to share. We're really excited about it. Obviously, a little bit more money is going to help us with so many things. Adding video will be so wonderful for those of you who are more inclined to watch your podcast, because we know that it's kind of split 50-50. Some love to watch, some love to listen. Some go back and forth like me. So it's just more available now in different forms, and we're really pumped to share that. Let's get into the more disappointing stuff, because we have to kick it off with a really special tribute, because obviously this past weekend we learned of the horrific news of the passing and the tragic news of the passing of Matt Beard. And Allie, I'm going to turn it over to you, because you have so much to say about this, because it hits home for you in a lot of ways.
I was going to say, it still doesn't quite feel real. I'm going to be honest. It feels quite surreal. I knew him. He was West Ham's manager for a while, and I knew him through my media stuff. He was always great to talk to. He always gave you the best sound bites. And yeah, the news broke on Saturday evening that he had sadly passed away. And as you will see from the outpouring of grief and tributes from footballers, managers, journalists alike, he was one of the good guys. He was one of the best people in women's football. He was very key in bringing it to the way it is in modern day. Like, he was at the forefront before the WSL. He was at Millwall and he was at Chelsea before it became the Women's Super League. He actually took a pay cut to become Chelsea's full-time manager. He was actually working as an estate agent and quit that job under Casey Stoney's pleading to come to Chelsea and be Chelsea's manager. He actually took a massive pay cut to do that. But he was one of the biggest proponents and pushers of women's football. He had great success at Liverpool, giving them their 2 titles. He obviously was at West Ham and took us to an FA Cup final. And then he went back to Liverpool. He was at Bristol for a short spell. He was at Burnley, and he was just a larger-than-life character. So it just does not feel real that he is not with us anymore. On a personal note, he was just a really wonderful person. When he was left West Ham, he sent me a message saying, send us your address, I've got a present for you. And I went, okay. And so anyway, I was like, oh my, what are you sending me? Anyway, so
what did you think it was? Why were you scared?
Because I'm like, I don't know, because he didn't live at West Ham under the best of terms. I was like, oh God, here we go.
Okay.
But no, I got a parcel like 2 days later, and it was his FA Cup shirt from
Get
the
out of
final
here.
that was signed by the entire squad that had played in the FA Cup final. And then my other favourite memory is we'd gone down to watch West Ham play Chelsea, and we got absolutely hammered. It was like 8-0. We got absolutely battered. And he sent me a message being like, "I'm so sorry you travelled for this. Your next away game's on me."
Oh my God.
And I was like, all right. And then I think we were playing either Liverpool or Everton the next away game, and he went, "Yeah, there's a ticket with your name at the box office as an apology / thank you for your support."
Yeah. These kind of stories, they tell more than, anything could really ever.
Yeah, and like, I'm not the only fan he's done things like. You ask any Liverpool fan, he's done that for multiple, and he just wanted to grow the game so much, and he was a huge family man, and obviously our heart and thoughts go out to his 2 children and his wife, who are now having to go through such a rough time. I will say that there is a GoFundMe that was set up by the wonderful journalist Jackie Oatley to help cover funeral expenses and current expenses. We will link that on our socials because of how unexpected it is. You just have to look at like how his former players talk about him. Missy Bo Kearns talks about how he gave her such a start, and when she wanted to leave Liverpool for better opportunities, how he was so supportive, even though it meant leaving him. The way Gilly Flaherty, Claire Rafferty, Farrah Williams breaking down on BBC, it's so sad that he had to pass away for all of this wonderful stuff to come out, to be honest.
Hannah Hampton, speaking of the Ballon d'Or, which we'll get into, Hannah Hampton just won the Yashin Trophy and paid tribute to Matt Beard. So, like you said, Allie, I think that speaks a lot what all of these coaches, what their former players say about them. And for anybody, I recommend reading Casey Stoney's Instagram post. If you are on Instagram, it was heart-wrenching, but so beautiful. What a tribute.
Yeah, same as Kenza Darley's as well. That one got me on Sunday morning.
So we wanted to take a moment. I think we both really felt like this was worthy for many reasons, but also especially because Allie had such a personal relationship with him. This was worthy of more than just a moment, a shout out. This was worthy of time really at the top of this podcast before we get into the soccer of it all. So, Allie, thank you for sharing.
So, to the NWSL of it all, and officially we have our Shield winners already. Kansas City Current become the fastest team in NWSL history to clinch the Shield. How did this all go down, Sarah?
Well, 14 match winning streak would help. Which they just extended it with this 2-0 win over Seattle Reign. They clinched the Shield. They extend their winning streak to 14 matches. And they get to do it at home in front of their fans at CPKC Stadium, which has very quickly become arguably the toughest environment for away teams to play in. There's so much to talk about this. First and foremost, I want to say I'm really happy to see the new NWSL Shield. I was really happy to see.
Is it better than the tray?
It's an actual shield. Yes, it is a legit shield, Allie. Like Kansas City Current were passing it around and they were like playing with it as if it was a shield, like in a superhero film. It was great. How did this happen? I think we got to go all the way back to like 2020 for how this happened, because this is the club's first major trophy since they were formed. I say in quotation marks in 2020. For those of you who don't remember, December 2020, the Utah Royals franchise was dissolved and all of the player rights, assets, everything were sold and transferred to the new Kansas City-based ownership, which resulted in the relocation and reestablishment of the Kansas City team. They rehired Vlatko Andonovski, who had been the head coach of FC Kansas City, which is a previous team that played in the league, then got dissolved. And now he's back. This is his first NWSL championship since he previously won with FC Kansas City. And look, I don't know. There's so much to talk about, but maybe we have to start with Vlatko Andonovski, who gets so much crap still for his performance as a national team coach. But my goodness, does this man know how to coach at the club level?
Well, clearly his players do not feel the same way as some of the general public, because Shawinga, on her birthday no less, puts away the second goal to seal the Shield and makes it 2-0. So we have to talk about that moment with Vlatko, but she did say that my coach is the GOAT.
Isn't that so cute? It's very sweet. And that moment, you can see the love between them after she scored. For anybody who didn't see, after Temo Shawinga scored, beelines it to the sideline. Huge embrace with Vlatko Andonovski. And then it comes out in the post-game press conference. Somebody asked, Vlatko, can you, share maybe what was being said in that moment? And he shared that the day before in practice, Temo Shawinga had said, hey, Vlatko, if I score a header, will you dye your hair my color? Because I guess all of the team was kind of giving her some crap about all of her goals being with her feet. She hadn't scored a header yet. God forbid. And I guess all of the team was giving her some crap for that. So she was like, okay, Vlatko, like if I score with my head tomorrow, you have to dye your hair purple or turquoise, And he was like, absolutely not. He's in the press conference being like, I would have been crazy to take her up on that. I said no, because she scores like nobody's business. Why would I ever bank on that? And he was like, in that moment when she scored, I was thinking to myself, oh, thank God I didn't take her up on that bet. And I guess she ran over to him and said, you have to dye your hair still. Which is really cute. But that does bring us to this question. I do want to ask, is Kansas City objectively having the most dominant season in NWSL history? Not like, are they having the most dominant season of anybody this year? Obviously they are. But if you look back in the history of the NWSL, is this the most dominant a team has been in a singular season?
Yes, I suppose probably. Like, we haven't seen dominance like this before. I mean, Orlando did go on that massive win streak last season and clinch both the Shield and the title. I suppose, that, to be honest, for me, that would be the thing because of your silly playoff system. That you don't technically win the league until you win some stupid playoff thing. So maybe that would, if they can, because it wasn't until Orlando did it and nobody had done it since Seattle for many years, winning both. So if they can equal that, then maybe. But at the moment, they're on track to be, but not
So you're kind of saying if they can then complete the task and win the championship, then the answer is yes.
Correct.
Interesting. Yeah,
because it feels more like a dominant performance more than Orlando last season. And Orlando were formidable last season. We talked about them so much. They were formidable last season, whereas this feels more clinical. But on paper, if they don't complete the double, then you can't argue that they are.
It's crazy. It feels like, so Orlando last year, their longest win streak was 8 games, but they had an unbeaten streak of 24 games. So meaning they tied, but they didn't lose. That's formidable. That's why I think this question is really something else, because Kansas City, I mean, I feel like I have to confirm that this is real. A 14-game winning streak? There's a huge difference there. I'm going to go out on a limb. I agree with you that, and it's like I said last week, Allie, I fear for Kansas City that they're going to get to the championship and this whole season's going to feel like not a wash, but it's going to be a huge letdown if they can't win the championship now on the heels of winning the Shield. I really do, unfortunately, think a lot does hinge on that. But you look at a 14-game winning streak, that's insane. If you're just comparing regular seasons, I think that the Kansas City Current are more dominant in the regular season than Orlando Pride were last regular season, period, the end. So in that sense, so far, yes. But I guess I agree. It does kind of hinge on if you can complete the task. Which is funny for you to say since you don't believe in the playoffs.
I don't believe in the playoffs, but if we're going to believe in the system that is currently set, and we will get onto this system when we talk about Champions League, because good Lord, then yes, they haven't done the double. So, and that's important to do the double. But I don't think it'll be a failure. I will say that. I don't think it's probably will go down and be viewed as a failure if they don't do it. But then playoffs be crazy, because we saw Gotham win the playoffs after just getting in by the barest of skin and teeth.
Truly.
So, yeah. But in regular season, this is a very powerful team, and I feel like it's been building for so long, and they've always been the bridesmaid, never the bride, and they come close a few times, and now it's clicking, and that is scary for future seasons. But then again, look at what happened with Orlando. We said that last season, and they've sort of fallen away.
So let's very quickly talk about this game. Kansas City beat Seattle Reign 2-0, and honestly, it was all Kansas City in the first half. Frankly, shocking that the only goal that they got in the first 45 minutes was off of a penalty kick. A penalty kick was awarded for a handball in the box, and they tucked it away. I would have guessed that just based on, what do they call it? The eye test, which I think is a dumb name for it. But based on the eye test, I would have guessed that like about 95% of the first half was played in the attacking half of Kansas City. That's a low block for you for Seattle. But then, quite honestly, in my opinion, Seattle looked pretty down and out after those first 45, no answers, but they came out strong in the second half. I was very impressed by the Reign. They held possession more than Kansas City, especially in the first 25 minutes of that second half, created plenty of chances and just simply couldn't capitalize. It was kind of a combination of the last pass that was off and a huge credit to Kansas City's defense because they did a great job closing down around and inside the 18, not allowing shots by Seattle, making them hit from incredibly difficult angles. They're blocking shots as a whole. And honestly, the hustle on both defensive sides was so high, so much closing down. It was a masterclass in that, to be frank. And I thought that Fishlock and Darlene being subbed on for Seattle really helped change the game for them. I really did. And that's not to disrespect, like Mia Fischel was subbed off. It's just adding a different element to the game. Fischel's going to stretch them really high, and Fishlock and Darlene are going to play more in the middle. In the midfield, they're going to come back deeper to get the ball, and that's what Seattle needed. They didn't need to sit in that low block. They needed to attack themselves, and I was happy to see them do that. But then once Temo Shoinga scored, it was over.
So we've got some bits and bats and bobs on the NWSL because there's still so much to play for. Just because the Shield is gone, playoffs are still playoffing. So very quick update. Seattle Reign and Racing Louisville have played their match after the very scary DeMello collapse. They played last Tuesday in a behind closed doors match, resuming from 0-0 from the start of the second half. It was closed doors, but they did show the match on Paramount Plus.
Yeah, we just wanted to say that now because when we were talking about this last week, we were recording before this news was announced. We didn't know it was going to happen. Seattle ended up winning that game 1-0 off of a 90th minute winner from Jess Fishlock. My goodness. But hey, we didn't know what the precedent was, right? We were talking about where are they going to pick this match up from, or are they just going to start anew? What's the deal? Turns out this precedent is being set where they're just going to restart from where it had paused. And I guess for this specific incident, I like that. I like that they didn't start over.
We were talking about audience figures actually for the WSL, so it's actually quite interesting that the NWSL audience across ABC and ESPN has been announced, and it has grown by 72% in 2025 compared to what it was in 2024, which I think is a huge...
It's a huge jump. Yeah, I'm curious to see what it's like because obviously we know the NWSL is broadcast across a bunch of different media platforms. And partners. It's Amazon Prime. It's ION. It's ESPN. It's CBS. And I think I blacked this part out because I read that they were adding another streaming service next year, and I don't remember what it was. We'll get to that news next week because fans are mad, and rightfully so, because they're just like, I can't afford to watch soccer anymore. Period. The end.
It is getting like that because we'll talk about it when we talk about Champs League, but that's now gone to Disney over yeah, for many reasons. But yeah, it is getting now, and like most of the WSL games are now on Sky, which is a paid service over here instead of the BBC, which it used to be, and the free stuff. So yeah, it's getting expensive.
Here's the hack, everybody. Get a VPN. It's cheaper than all of these streaming services. And then you watch the international stream. I love it. Okay, let's move on to the third bit and bob and bat, as you added in, Allie. Right now, Kansas City has earned the most points after international break above any other team in the NWSL. So if we're looking at just how teams have done after international break, Kansas City's in the lead with 19.
Before you go into the second, should we take a guess who the second is? Because I feel like most people will be shocked by
I
this.
can't guess. I already know. Do you know? Should we make Mike guess?
Yeah. No, just because I do know because you put it in the notes. But I just feel like a lot of people wouldn't get this because considering how badly their season started and how we considered.
Unless they've been watching. Because if they've been watching, but I agree. I mean, this team's been doing it quietly, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. And we will do more on this team. We did promise it a couple of weeks ago, but we will do more on them. And it's the Houston Dash. Houston Dash have got 15 points.
I do think that the natural answer, if you were just thinking, okay, what's the most logical answer, I think I would have guessed Washington. And Washington Spirit are close. They sit just behind Spirit, just behind the Dash. Spirit have gotten 13 points since the international break. But the big difference between these two teams right now was just this past weekend, right? Because Houston beat Chicago 1-0 and Spirit drew with Angel City 2-2. So that's a separator. But man, we got to get into Houston because Houston right now, my goodness, they are on fire. They've moved themselves up from 12th place with just 11 points at the break. Now they are in 9th place with 26 points. They're just 2 points away from that last playoff spot, the 8th place spot, and plenty of time to do it. I mean, there's not that many games left in the NWSL regular season, but plenty of time to make up 2 points. That's for sure.
Could they do it? Could they do a Gotham and squeak in and take it from Kansas City?
Houston's, I think, one of the scariest teams that you could meet in the playoffs right now because this is the case with playoffs. It's kind of similar to how we talk about international tournaments. Momentum is everything. I don't care how good your regular season was. If you're not coming in with momentum, it's a kind of a done deal. It's a wrap. So I don't know. Let's look at the remainder of Houston's schedule and see what we think is going to happen here. You ready, Allie?
Let's do it.
All right, 5 matches left, and it's kind of a doozy, I'm not going to lie. Next up for Houston, this coming Sunday, they're at Washington Spirit.
Ooh.
If you're picking a game to watch in the NWSL this weekend, that's the one. That's the one. You got to do it. Everybody, that's Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. All right, the next game, they're hosting Orlando. That'll be interesting because, listen, you hear that and you're like, well, I mean, that's probably going to be a tough game. But Orlando has gotten the second to least amount of points since international break. Yeah, since international break. Orlando have only gotten 3 points in this league since play resumed after international break, Allie.
Wow. So, yeah, I would put money on Houston. And if you'd told me I was going to say that at the beginning of this season, I would have called you crazy.
Yeah, I would have called you crazy too. All right, their final games are Angel City, Kansas City, and Portland. So this is nothing to be scoffed at. I mean, they've got quite the road ahead of them. Portland right now sitting in 4th place. Angel City right now battling it out with Houston. Angel City's just 2 points below Houston. So every point, every game matters in these last 5 games for the Houston Dash.
Obviously, you should watch every match, but decision day. When is decision day?
I love that it's already time we're talking about decision day, for the record. Okay. Decision day, it's the last day of the season. For those who don't know and those who don't know the history, this is something that they've done in the WSL for a long time, which is that on the final day of the season, everybody plays at the same time. So you can't look at the standings and like throw a game or like 2 teams agree to tie so that they both get this result and then they'll both end up whatever. You can't do that. You can't plan it out. You can't look at other scores. Everybody's playing at the exact same time. Now, 2 years ago, the NWSL did this for the first time, and it was, in a word,
carnage?
Carnage in the best way, though. It was insane. Think NWSL After Dark times 1,000,000,000,000. Like, think NWSL After Dark, but it's happening across every single game. It was madness. And then last year, we didn't get to have it because it was the first year in the brand new media deal, and there's so many different broadcast partners. They couldn't line it up all the same. But the NWSL, they heard the fans. They heard us saying that that was wrong and we needed this back. And guess what? We got it back. And so November 2nd, the final day of the NWSL regular season, the times haven't been announced of what times the games will kick off at, but it will be November 2nd, Allie.
I love it. I love it when we do it at the end of the WSL, where everybody is playing all at the same time. And if nothing's been decided, it's a day of madness. So I'm glad you guys have got that back.
Yeah, I mean, when you think madness in the NWSL, why not add to it? Because we're looking at the standings right now, and there's going to be, I could not imagine a world in which it did not come down to the final day with who makes the playoffs right now. Let's go around the world. Around the world, around the world.
To España, and Barcelona's winning streak continues with their 5-0 win over Seville, whereas Atletico Madrid could only manage a 1-1 draw against Madrid. They do, however, remain second with 10 points.
To Germany, we have a new league leader in Freiburg after their massive win this weekend. Game of the week, however, has to be Frankfurt versus Leipzig, which was a 7-goal thriller resulting in a win for Frankfurt 4-3.
To Scotland, and Rangers remain top of the league after their win against Aberdeen. Glasgow City had a storming game, winning 5-1 against Hearts, whereas Celtic could only manage a 1-1 draw with Hibs.
And finally to France, big wins for Lyon, Paris FC, and PSG to keep the table tight at the top. A win for Le Havre sees them go fourth with just 2 goals separating them from the top 3. All right, let's get into the WSL. We got a lot here in the back half. We're going to do WSL, then we're going to talk Ballon d'Or and Champions League. We're not going to spend all that much time here on the WSL. We'll dive into more of it next weekend or next week. The Liverpool match was, of course, postponed because of the tragic news that we addressed at the top, Matt Beard passing away. And that's part of why we're not going to really dive into the WSL all that much right now, just because there was quite a cloud hanging over everyone's heads this weekend, but a couple of results that we just need to discuss. And while I thought it was going to be the United Arsenal game, I think the one we really need to dig into here, Allie, it's got to be Chelsea winning 1-0 over Leicester City, which, I don't know. If I hear Chelsea won over Leicester City, I'm like, okay, why are we talking about this? But you're saying to me, we need to look deeper into this 1-0.
Yes, we do, because you were like, I assumed it was 1-0, but then Chelsea were dominant. And I was like, and you would assume.
Yeah,
incorrect.
I didn't get to watch it. I was working, or was it working, or was it just at 4 a.m.? Either way, I didn't get to watch it.
Probably at 4 a.m. It was probably at 4 a.m. Is the honest answer. Yeah, and Chelsea fans, you will come at me, and that's fine, but I want your honest opinion. Are you actually enjoying the football this season? Because we're 3 games in at the moment, and it's not good football. And you're getting the results. You are scraping those results. You've kept your unbeaten status. So on paper, it's a great start to the season. But I will give you the Man City game. You went 2-0 up. Oh no, you went 1-1, and then it went 2-1.
Yeah, you were bored with that game on both sides of the ball.
Yeah,
I enjoyed
great.
it. Yeah.
Well, we like different things in our
true.
football. I will say that.
It's a
I will
wonder.
be diplomatic and
it's
say.
a wonder why you're not an NWSL fan. You want a high score.
And then they played Aston Villa, who again has been really ropey with their recruitment and management, and I think, and again they almost lost. They went 1-0 down and then managed to dig in, or it was 1-1 and then they got the winner. And it's just not good football. Defensively, they're looking tired. Obviously, they're missing some key players up front. Sam Kerr coming back should be an exciting
Certainly
moment.
Alyssa Thompson,
who featured this weekend. But you look at the stats, and like possession-wise, it was pretty even. It was like 53% Chelsea, 47% Leicester. They had very similar shots Granted, Chelsea had more shots on target, even though only one actually went in. And it's, you know what? You're grinding out the results. I can't fault you for that. And at the end of the day, getting the 3 points is getting the 3 points. But honestly, Chelsea fans, are you happy with the football? Because if I was a Chelsea fan, I wouldn't, because I gave it a pass last season because I was like, new manager, new system, new style, not everyone can be Emma Hayes. But this is Bompas's second season now. I'm less forgiving.
This will be interesting. I'm excited to watch them through that lens now this coming weekend and see if I really like their style.
They're playing West Ham. They're going to batter us 5-0.
Truly. Well, to benefit Allie, we're not going to talk about West Ham right now.
Thank you.
They lost 4-1, but let's move along. We have to touch on United versus Arsenal, which I'm chuckling because we both thought this was going to be a goal fest because of what both of these teams did in the first two games of their seasons, and it was 0-0.
Yeah. Again, not the greatest game in the world. It was
a little chaotic for sure. Yeah. It had the openness that we were expecting, Allie. It just didn't have the goals to come along with it.
Yeah. As I thought, Man United were missing some key defenders. Arsenal couldn't really capitalise on that. There's a couple of times that they went close. I think there was one where they thought it had gone across the line and Fallon actually managed to save it.
I didn't think it was a bad display from either team. It was a little sloppy. It's early in the season. Neither were able to totally settle in, but I don't think it was bad from either side. But if I'm United, I'm pretty pumped right now. I honestly just came into this feeling like Arsenal was the better side and United played them really well. So maybe City will miss out on Champions League again.
I wouldn't be surprised.
All right, that's it for the WSL this week. We'll get into a lot of it next week. Let's move it along. We're going to get into the Champions League before we finish this off with Ballon d'Or. So let's do Champions League. It's a brand new season, and the Champions League groups have been announced. And I got a text from Allie being like, it's very confusing this year. Did you know that they changed it? So let's discuss.
Yes, I was like, are we aware if there's a rule change? Because I was not, apparently. And
I vaguely remember reading something about a rule change last year, but kind of brushing it aside and being like, we'll deal with that another time. And now here we are.
And the time is now. And now the time is now.
The time has arrived. So talk to us, Allie. Learn us good, as they say.
Learn us good. Oh, suddenly American literacy is coming into play. Anyway, so they have done away with the traditional 4 groups of 4 all playing each other home and away. That's not happening anymore. It's gone from 16 teams to 18 teams, and it's going to be a league table. So, do all 18 teams play each other? No, they do not, because that would take forever, and they've already got enough football. So there is groups of such. Each grouping, were grouped into groups of 6 based on their rankings in European competitions. So you had pot 1, which were teams that had played in the Champions League last year. Pot 2 were ones that didn't quite get out of the groups, and then pot 3 are your brand new contestants pretty much, or have come through the qualifying stages. So in pot 1, each team will play 2 teams from pot 1, 2 teams from pot 2, 2 teams from pot 3, and they will play 3 teams at home and 3 games at home, 3 games away.
Okay, but you're only playing each team one time. And it's just random who you're playing at home and who you're playing away.
It's all through the draw, so it's all been drawn, so we all know who's playing who and when, what, why.
I can't help but feel like this feels less fair, but continue. Do you feel like this is more fair now?
No, it's so weird.
I guess what it does is eliminate, it gives fewer buys. You can't just pass now pretty easily into a further stage of the Champions League. You got to earn it all the way through.
Yeah, because if you look at, say, Chelsea, for example, they have to play Barcelona at home, Wolfsburg away, Roma at home.
Wait, I'm sorry. Are they playing Chelsea at, or sorry, Chelsea playing Barcelona at Chelsea's home? This graphic is confusing. It makes me feel like they're playing at Barcelona's home. No, they're playing Chelsea. Chelsea are hosting Barca.
Are hosting Barca.
Okay.
Then they're going away to Wolfsburg. They're at home to Roma, away to Polten, at home to Paris FC, and then away at 20. So that's how it's gonna work. So yeah, there is no easy routing. So the way it's going to work is in this massive league table of 18 teams, is the top 4 will automatically go into the quarterfinals. Then 5 to 12 will play in a playoff similar to the NWSL playoffs. How that's to be determined hasn't been announced yet. And then the winners of those games will then go into the quarters, and we then have a traditional quarters, semis, finals. Yeah, it's a huge mix-up of rules that I had no idea until I was doing the notes for this episode, and I went, huh.
This is massive. I mean, this is massive. And this is hilarious as well, might I just add. Poor Chelsea. I mean, poor anybody who drew Barcelona. Bayern also drew Barcelona. Roma did. Paris FC also did. What it does, I mean, let's be honest. We're going to tune into these games way earlier on. Like, if we're basically kicking off the group stages with a Chelsea Barcelona match. That could be the final. You know? So I think viewership's going to go up, that's for sure. Why they aren't advertising this more, I'm not entirely sure.
No, you would think, because it's a huge switch up.
This is wild. I don't mind it. I'm not gonna lie. I thought I was gonna have like a really immediate reaction and hate it, but so far I haven't had that. I think the jury's out for me. I'm a little undecided. I want to see how it shakes out, and if I feel like, yeah, I want to see how it shakes out. How do you feel?
I think it's going to be interesting because, like you said, there's not going to be any like bye weeks. It's not going to be like when you see, you know, I mean, they didn't end up qualifying in the end, but like a Hacken getting absolutely battered or an Ajax getting absolutely battered. We're actually going to see some competitive fixtures. And also, I think it is interesting that you don't play the same team twice. And also, your opponents don't necessarily play the same teams as well. I think that's the really interesting thing, is because, yeah, so like Wolfsburg plays some of the same teams as Barcelona, but not all of the same. Like, it's such a mix-up in the fact that your closest rivals from pot 1 do not play this. You don't play the same teams.
Yeah, I like it. Let's see how it shakes out. What's the start date for this?
So the first set of games will be the 7th and the 8th of October. That's coming up. That's when we'll see it. I think one big one to announce that got everybody going, oh, is Manchester United have drawn PSG at home. This will be the return of Mary Earps not only to Manchester, but to England since her announcement of retiring from the Lioness squad. She hasn't played a match in England since that announcement. And to go back to Manchester United, it's going to be an interesting reaction, shall we say. I don't expect her to have the warmest of welcomes.
Certainly not.
I'm going to be honest, but it will be interesting.
No, well, United fans are really known for being understanding and forgiving and not holding grudges against players, from what I can tell.
No. Yeah. So it'll be interesting. It will be. The way this is shaking out is going to be interesting.
Moving into the Ballon d'Or. And this is really fun because it was literally just announced minutes ago as we're recording. And Allie has no idea. And I've made Allie not look it up so I can get their live reaction unfiltered.
I'm going to get in trouble.
You've known who the final 2 were.
I did.
But you didn't know who won it.
Took top spot, no.
Drum roll, please. It's a 3-peat. Azione Bon Mati. It's a 3-peat, right?
Yes. For what? For what?
Well, listen, first and foremost, I'm just going to say, I've never truly really cared about this award, probably because I'm from the United States, and we were all like, what did Carly Lloyd win?
Yeah, I was going to say.
What I said to you was, oh, I don't care because we're really lacking U.S. internationals on this list. So I don't care. No.
And my response was, I saw Lindsay Horan's name at like 25th, and I was like, oh, well, she couldn't win.
For those of you who heard in the intro that Allie didn't want to share their bad thought, that was the bad thought that Allie didn't want to share. So I got it out of them.
Just because I get yelled at by US women's national team. Like, why do you hate us?
I think that people would mainly be on your side about that.
But say,
I don't
hate you.
I think that the argument for Bon Mati is that she is the best player on the best team, even though they're not the best team because Arsenal won the Champions League.
I was going to say Arsenal won that. Arsenal won Champions League. Right, we're not factoring in the Euros because of the time frame for the Ballon d'Or.
This is what I find but are we? Because I think you bring up a good point, because for a reminder, technically since 2022, the time period for Ballon d'Or is July 1st through June 30th. So this would be July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. Now, the Euro started within a week of that, but they started in July of 2025. So technically, next year's Ballon d'Or shouldn't be inclusive of those Euros. But let's be honest here. That's not what's happening, right?
Look, I get it. She is a phenomenal player. I do not want to take away from Bon Mati's phenomenalness. But she is outstanding. But I'm still going to ask the question, for what? Because, yeah, Barcelona did Barcelona things, but so did Chelsea. Chelsea did the same as Barcelona, apart from they didn't quite get to a final. And Arsenal actually won the Champions League, which would have counted in that time frame. So I'm not saying she doesn't deserve top 10 or even top 3, but my question still remains, for what?
Now, thus the argument is made for the person who came in second, which is Mariana Caldente, who plays for Arsenal, who won the Champions League, who plays for Spain. I don't know why that matters, but she does. Mariana Caldente, I don't know if it's because she was let go on a free that people continue to underestimate her. Like, I don't know if that's it in people's minds. Like, if she was paid millions of dollars to go to Arsenal, would people see her in a different light? I'm not sure, but she is so important, and I'm glad she's number 2. Not that she deserves to not be the first spot. I'd be happy if she was number 1. I'm just glad that she is in a top spot, getting recognition. I would have been so pleased to see her in the first spot also.
So we know it's a popularity contest. We know that I don't think they factor in a lot of things, to be honest. It tends to be, oh, I know that name. But I do feel like there were definitely other players that deserved it more. That didn't even necessarily
tell us who. Let's make it a positive. This is the Allie Award. Who wins Ballon d'Or?
Kim Little, because she has been the engine for Arsenal for so long. She was absolutely phenomenal in Champions League, which is counted in this time period. Yeah, I would have had Kim Little in there. I think Arsenal wouldn't have won the Champions League without her, in the honest answer. And so if they're team of the year, your captain fantastic, Kim Little. So the Allie Award would go to Kim Little.
I want to say Naomi Girma, like we were talking about, but we know she was battling injuries. But again, what time frame are we talking about? So God only knows. I do think that she will win it one day if she can be healthy for an entire season. I think that's just no question. So it's only a matter of time there.
And I will not argue that.
No, nor should you. That's it. That's a hill I will die on for sure. All right, that's it for us here at the Women's Soccer Show. You'll catch us next Wednesday. And if you have Spotify, you can watch us on video next week and all of the following weeks after that if you want. If you don't want, you don't have to. We're not forcing anybody into anything. And as always, head over to our Patreon. We've got some wonderful stuff coming for you. Patreon.com/The Woso Show. I've been Sarah.
And I've been Allie.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night.
This podcast was edited by Monkey Hill Media. Visit monkeyhillmedia.com for more information.